Hey friends, September 8th, Monday, we're up $205. Had a good day, but remember, trading isn't for everyone. Do not risk money you can't afford to lose. Do not copy me. Do your own research. Practice on the simulator. If that isn't enough, if you're in a drawdown, get some help. There's no shame in trying to get a mentor, some way that you can surpass any drawdown or begin to trade. Getting certified, getting some type of certificate or taking a class isn't bad either. So today we took 6 trades, mostly on OCTO, 1 an hour. We're up $74 on the month. We did really well. We managed our risk starting from pre-market. We didn't trade on the open market because OCTO gave us good opportunities, and you'll see those later on. But one of the things I want to point out to you is on the right-hand side where I have circled with red. Look at the number of winning trades. I had 2 winning trades for a 33% winning percentage. My losing percentage was 66% and 4 trades. So this reinforces that your percentages really is not going to make it. What you got to do is you got to make your green winners bigger than your red losers. That's part of the key. Okay, so let's get into it. So OCTO is moving up pre-market, and it had moved up. And one of the things I noticed earlier on that was that there were only a few stocks that were moving up. And this is good because what it does is it highlights, it sort of sends buyers to one stock. And for some reason, I didn't see any news on OCTO, but I liked it. It looked like it had a little bit of strength, and it was going to be the stock to move. Now, retrospect, I'm doing this here at 6:50 Pacific, which is after the market opened, and I didn't think that it would go as high as it did. Let's see what's OCTO at now. It's around $20 right now, and it looks like it's halted. So we jumped in with a starter. I noticed that Thinkorswim platform took a little bit longer to load this morning, so I wanted to take a couple of trades just to see and feel out how responsive it was, whether I was going to get any lag, and I didn't. And just based on the volume and the amount of buyers that were going in, I jumped in, but there wasn't enough strength here for it to go up. So I actually had to stop out, and I took a minute here to check other stocks, BMNR, especially XAir, and others, but they just weren't cutting it. So I decided to stick with this trade here. But it wasn't cutting it. And then that long tail wake up there sort of certainly didn't give me any confidence. You notice on the 5 minute that the reverse is at 379, meaning it's going to go higher. And it certainly was correct. But the MACDs are telling me a different story. They're telling me it's going to go down. So this is still 4:20 in the morning. It's quite early, but I was surprised by the number of by the number of volume, by the amount of volume, and the number of buyers that we're in different trades. So that is good to see. I think we might even see a good week. Remember, we have reports, 2 important reports coming this week, CPI and consumer sentiment. So we'll have to wait and see. So here, our trendy indicator tells us it's time to get out, and we listen. We go back in a few minutes later, and it's back up. And our trend indicator sort of led us astray because it was only down for a couple of bars, and then it picked up again. So at this point, it's way up there. It's over $1.50 above, but it looks strong, and we're jumping in high, but not too many shares. And as I stated, there was other stocks that were sort of showing momentum and gapping up, but they weren't holding. Yeah, I'm trying to get the best view here. And down on the MACD, down at the bottom, Duric, you see that pink. The text is hard to see, but it's saying it's near the bottom. So that means that it'll probably go up. And then, so the MACDs here give me a little bit more confidence to hold on. So OCTO is still in the halt. Possible resume at near $28. And we'll have to wait and see. So we continue to hold because we continue to see green bars and we continue to see a good 5-minute there pattern. The one thing I did get was very high fills. I did notice that. I went to buy bid, but I got very high fills. And that's just because probably I was a little bit slow. I wasn't using my hotkey buttons. And I got to go back to that. I have the device sitting here, the Neo, the Elgato Neo, and I'm not using it. I need to go back to it. It's a lot quicker. So we're holding. And there's a good amount of buyers. I still see on the level 2, double-digit buyers, which gives me some confidence. If you like our videos, like and subscribe. You have comments or questions, leave them down below. I also welcome any hate. Any comments written down below help the channel out. So leave a dot or something. So now we're starting selling off. And OCTO at 6:56 a.m. Pacific looks like it's on a 10-minute hold. And now its resume price is dropping down to $26.49. So the halt price was $20.86, and it continues to drop, the resume price. Now I could have edited all of these out, but I wanted to really depict and show you guys what I was seeing, why I was in a trade, why I stayed with it, and what I was looking at. And then so you guys can see the same things. And this morning I woke up nice and refreshed and with a different mindset. We know we had a bad week last week. We recovered some on Friday. I wasn't planning on recovering everything this week or this morning, but it was about managing the emotions. And your emotions are the biggest enemies, the biggest obstacles you have in trading. Fear of getting into a trade because you're going to lose. Fear of missing out. You see a stock moving and you want to jump in, and by the time you try to jump in, it's already moving up higher, and the only place it can go is down. Expectations. If your expectation is you see some guy on YouTube making thousands of dollars, and you think that's going to be you, then that is a false promise. That's not going to be you. Most day traders, most traders will lose money. That is, ask anyone, ask any, go out and look at reports. They show that most traders will lose money. So, with that understanding, when you put your money up at risk for this type of day trading, you have to make sure that you know exactly where you're getting in, and you have to make sure that you know where you're going to stop out so that you don't lose a whole lot of money. Another thing, don't if you are down, don't buy more to drop your price down. Just get out. So if you manage the amount of money you have, which is what I was doing this morning, taking these small trades, because I wanted to have enough cash at the open, because I thought there might be a stock out there that might do well today, and I wanted to have enough cash. So that's the reason I'm taking 10 shares here, 20 shares here, nothing big, because I want to still have money to trade. And as I finish this video, I still have about a little under $500, but I'm not going to trade. It makes no sense. I'm up $205. You know, going back in for more is greed, which is another one of your enemies. Greed, avarice, wanting to do as well as someone else on YouTube. It's not going to happen. Concentrate on your own and manage those emotions. Stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. So here, our trend reversal indicator says we should get out. And we start looking at HOUR, which starts to move up. And I think that's one of the reasons why OCTO slowed down, was because this one started to move up. And XAR, I think, also moved at this time. And we just had the news at 4:30. So there were a couple of stocks that had news in there. But for some reason, folks started to buy HOUR. I have no idea why. But looks like OCTO just resumed at $26, and it has dropped back down to 24, and now it's going back up again. It's at 26.59. And just as I speak, back up to $31. Looks like it almost hit 32. And I thought that it might have OCTO might have a chance to go to 40, but big red drop from 32 to 28. Looks like it's going to be a fun one. So we continue to hold this, and as it continues to hold, we see, well, it might make it up to 6, and at this time, OCTO has dropped down. It's not doing as well at 4:42 in the morning. So I'm thinking, well, maybe folks are shifting, but I do see on the MACD down below that they're curling down. Super trend is pointing downward. And the volume, you see the volume coming back down, and now we start to see red and time and sales tape. But it's not a huge loss. And at that point, but I have also updated my watch list for trades, and I'm watching OCTO and hour as the possibilities. And our gappers also has duo moving up, DUO, and I think that takes some of the momentum away from these other stocks, from hour and from OCTO. So we still don't see a trend reversal, but we know it's coming. And unlike last week on Thursday where I lost a whole bunch, I wasn't about to wait around and hold anything. I mean, it's only 10 shares, so it's not a big deal. I mean, it would have to go down quite a bit for me to lose $100 on 10 shares. But I don't see the strength. HOUR was a continuation, and so we decided to get out. We go into OCTO back again, and now it's 4:44, so 4:45, and we didn't like anything. What happened? Oops. So our trend reversal tells us that it's going to trend up from 626, and so far from our first trades, we are down about $15. But we're going to continue to watch it, and the MACD still below the signal line, and the Zurich MACD starts to show an upward trend, but I don't see the volume, a whole lot of volume coming in. So I'm skeptic about what's going to happen. So I think in between here, I looked at the daily and I sort of set a mindset of 680, that if it can get upwards of 680, that it might go up higher. And on the 5-minute, there's a little bullish sign there forming for me. And we decided to go in early, just with 10 shares. And it looks like OCTO is not stopping. It's at 35 now at 7:05 a.m. Pacific. And HOUR has halted down. Well, yeah, it's going to hit 40. 37 OCTO now. And it looks like it may have halted again. Oh no, false halt. All right, so back to us. So we went in early before our 680 thought of moving up. And I see a nice pattern there. It's not a full cup and handle, but it sort of breaks with that red bar in the middle. And but now we're above our 680 call, so we go ahead and buy 10 more shares. And the only thing that's got me worried here is the MACDs. So they're sort of telling me this reversal might not be as big as we think it's going to be. And so we're going to play it with caution. But we're not going to stop out, because if we stop out, it'll be an issue. In one of the first trades where I lost on OCTO, or the second trade, I stopped out and I walked away to get something to drink. And when I come back, lo and behold, it had gone up. So had I held those first 20 shares for another 3 or 4 minutes, it would have been a positive trade. But that's the gamble. And yeah, this video is long, but on a stock like this one that has now gone parabolic, it's important to see. We now know that it hit 38.49, but at the time, at 4:48 in the morning, we weren't aware of that. If we knew what the future would hold, of course, we would have jumped in with all the cash we had in and then just hold it. But we didn't know. And those are the questions. That is what you have to maneuver. That's the road that you have to travel. It's the journey. And what you have to do is concentrate on what's happening up, what's happening down, your indicators, the volume, what the market is doing around you, in order to be able to make assertions and come away with green trades. Yeah, OCTO halted again at 38.48, and it's 7:08 a.m. And it's tempting. I'm tempted to go back in with the 500 cash that I have and take a few a few shares. If it goes to 60, you take 10 shares from 40 to 60 is $20 with 10 shares. That's a nice win. But those are the things that we can't do. And every trader, no matter how good they are, no matter how much money they make, has those emotions. And what you have to do is you have to control them. You have to override them. And it's very difficult. It's no different than any addiction to trading, sorry. So we continue to hold because the trend reversal says we're okay. We have a nice pattern here, upward move. And the volume and the MACDs are a little elevated. So now that move right there on the MACD, I did not like, that it just moved sideways. So I am worried here. No doubt about it. But I'm only down about $10 at this time, I think, which isn't bad. So at this point, what it's going through my mind is, okay, well, worst that could happen here is I stop out, I'm down $10, and then I wait for the open. And then no more trading in the pre-market. And that was my thought. And none of the other stocks show up. Duo, you see there, and the gappers is showing up. And I think Duo does go above 4, but it doesn't have the strength. So here we're down about $7 on OCTO and R, which is the only trades we've taken. But we're recovering nicely. And the $0.50 appears to be a good spot. Even though level 2 doesn't show that many, a larger number of bids, it starts to move up. Now we knew sort of like from $5 that 8 was a possibility. Oh, OCTO up to 47.50. It looks like it doesn't want to stop. So right around here, we're thinking, we don't want to overstay our welcome. We're in positive green. We're about $5-6. So we take half off. I think 8 is a possible spot for it to curl back down. Well, OCTO's not going to stop. Just hit $50. And we stop out. $9.51. So now we're roughly up $6 in the day. Now it's 5:16 in the morning, and it starts to pick up again. So we continue to watch what stocks are moving, but we continue to pay attention to OCTO. And you notice that I now mark there a magenta line which is what I think it's as resistance, and the blue line, which means I can buy above that blue line, right underneath the $8 because it'll probably go above 8. Wow, it just hit $57. And it's 7:13 a.m. Wow, that's going to be an incredible stock. So we continue to watch to make sure that our indicators positively reinforce a trade. And I'm looking at the 5-minute, and it says our trend reversal says it's going to reverse at 775. So maybe a trade here. I was going to go in, and when I noticed that the trend reversal at 775 on the 5-minute, I back out. And I also noticed that the MACDs are not really expanding. But here it picks up. And of course, the trend reversal on the 5-minute is still there. And there's a big red volume on the awesome oscillator there, which tells me I should hold. Yeah, I think OCTO finally hit its peak. It just dropped down to $39, and it might be halted at 39. So we continue to watch it, and what I'm watching is I'm watching for that cyan line goes above, and it's slightly above. Remember, it's a range, but here it comes down. So, but our reversal indicator on the 5-minute goes away, which means a new pattern is formed, and now it's on its upward momentum. And sure, we missed it at 8, but hey, starts crawling up, and now the MACDs are curling up and moving up. But we want to be disciplined. The last thing we need right here is to jump in, and then the fear. There's two fears here. One, the fear that it goes and leaves without us and we miss out. But the biggest fear is that it moves slightly, we jump in, and then it dumps on us. And that's even worse because that's a loss. So in my head here, I chose discipline, even though it might have been the wrong choice, as you'll see in a minute, because it doesn't stop. And the reason why they didn't jump in was because there was a huge seller in level 2 there. And the bids are 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, an occasional 20, but they aren't as big. The bids aren't as big, as numerous, I should say. But the stock keeps moving. So now, had we jumped in, right around 820, we would be looking at a 67-cent win. But we weren't sure. Now, right here, there's a tiny pullback, and this would have been a place to enter, but nope. There's a little bit of red volume there, and the MACD is not convincingly curling up. And this portion here within the last 5 minutes is important because this is where your discipline comes in. You know you want to make money. You know you want to jump in. And at this point, we're only about $6 up on the day. So getting a win here would be really nice. And this is the reason that I left this as part of the video in here, because it is during these occasions, during these moments when the stock is doing this, that you have to have more control. So now here we're up almost 80 cents. And my emotion is telling me jump in at 9, jump in at 9, jump in at 9. But I'm not going to do that. It goes without me. It goes without me. And look at that huge pop. And we missed that. Huge. So from 820 to 1023, that's almost $2. With 10 shares, that would have been a nice trade. But we needed to exercise discipline. We needed to teach ourselves that our mind, our indicators, and our technical strategy is in play, and that we're going to hold to it. If the stock is strong at this point, then the idea is to wait for a pullback, wait for a new entry, and then take that opportunity. So now we know this stock is very strong. It's squeezed up. It had a nice squeeze. It's quite possible that it may have another. We may be thinking parabolic, but I am not totally sold on it. Yeah, it's moving up, yet another dollar. And that's a huge move that we missed there. Now we're getting excited. That's a $3 move in about 2.5 minutes. And what's convincing me now is the level 2 is starting to show more bids than asks. So we continue to hold here. And notice in the gappers, there's hardly anything. And HOUR, which was our second stock there, is just sitting at 540. So now OCTO has the playing field all to itself. I think it slows down a little bit here because we're at 525. And so at 530, we can expect news. And yeah, it would have been nice to catch either of those two green bars, but we exercised discipline. And we noticed that it comes down from 1288 to 1060. It's $2. And you're not going to lose money if you don't jump in, if you don't trade. That's something important to remember. The only time you're going to lose is when you buy. So now the MACDs are starting to curl down. We start to see volume slow down. And you start to see other stocks gapping up, and some that have news like XAIR. And that was around 289. It did have a nice move up. It's at $4.21 as of 722. Now we have a little bit of consolidation. We don't have a trend reversal yet. And we're going to continue to watch. And here we jump in. Because we think this is hit maybe a bottom and it's going to bounce off of that price EMA there. Now, what I'm thinking here is that the same thing is going to happen, that it's going to, the MACDs are going to curl down, volume is going to slow, and then it's going to pick up again. So that's what I'm watching for. And it's still holding its own. And of course, I got a bad fill here. 1129 was huge. But all of a sudden, the other stocks start to fall behind, and OCTO now moves up to the top of the gap up stocks. And it did have news. Yeah, there was news there. I'll have to check that. Or it might just be the general news. So it's 5:30. News are breaking, but they're not overtaking whatever OCTO is doing. But now we've lost the $6 that we were up. And I think we're up about 30 cents, which still isn't bad. And so what's going through my head is, okay, well, if I lose $1 or 30 cents, not too bad. And then we see the trend reversal says, hey, we're going down. So we're going to listen. And I think we get out with a slight loss here. Yeah. Well, it looks like it may want to pick up. We don't want a chance it just falling. So we're okay. So we get out. But we continue to watch it. And so now we're down. Yeah, we're up about 30 cents. We continue to watch it. It picks up. And at this point, we're a little bit more energized in that this stock does have strength and that it could do things that maybe other stocks didn't do last week. So like and subscribe, guys. So here we're going to take a little bit of a bigger gamble. We start to watch. The 5 minute, we see it go over the green goes over the red. Have it pulled back a little bit. And we watch this bar. Even though the super trend and the Zurich MACD are pointing downwards, the MACD is pointing up, and so is and the volume starting to pick up. So we jump in, and this time we go in for 100 shares. So now we're only looking to make 40, 50 bucks here, but lo and behold, it's another squeeze. And then right off the top. Have a great day.